indeed with you, Holy Circle Gaming. Thank you for rocking with your boy like always. Definitely a privilege and an honor to do as such. We back at it. Marvel Puzzle Quest, continuing the series. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about the top 10. Top 10 3 stars of all time. So, before we get into that, let's go ahead and get into this. Let me show you where we left off. And let me show you also who the board has as the top 10 3 stars. Now, let me go ahead and get into what my top 10 3 stars of all time are. Y'all ready? I'm ready. Thank you for rocking with your boy. Let's go ahead and get into this. Yeah, I pulled one on y'all, didn't I? Let me squeeze one in on you. I did know that on the list they didn't add Thanos onto the list. And I told y'all a couple of videos ago that I will tell you where Thanos fits onto the list of top 3 stars of all time. He's going to fit right at the cusp of being a top 10 character, but not. He's really 11. 11A would be Deadpool. 11B is going to be Thanos, because they're really, really good at what they do. They both are. So let's go ahead and talk about Thanos real quick. Come and Get Me. Come and Get Me is a very good ability. What it does, it moves Thanos to the front. And when that countdown tile goes off, it does... it can get all the way up to about, I believe it's like 2k worth of damage if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere in that vicinity if you got him all maxed out. Maybe 2k, maybe, I think it's 2500k worth of damage once he's maxed out. But Come and Get Me, you put him at the front because so it shields the other 2 characters that you have behind him from getting dinged up. The other thing that it does, it puts that countdown tile on the board. Now, I've told y'all, I'm not big on countdown tiles, but if you get that countdown tile to go off, it does team damage. I'm cool with it doing team damage because you definitely get the reward if you keep it on board. That's definitely a good ability. Infinite Power is pretty dope too. So, with Infinite Power, what that does, it ramps up your match damage. Now, that could help you immensely, but if you have projectiles on the board, like enemy projectiles, that may not benefit you nearly as much. But I do like it because, you know, even with it being on board, it's kind of a throwaway, but it's kind of not a throwaway because it can really help you or not help you depending on what the board looks like. But timed out, I think if you get it out first and early, I think it's very beneficial. If not, I don't know how it plays on later out throughout the rounds, but it's been very good for me. So Infinite Power is definitely a good ability, but really what it comes down to is Court Death. Now, I'm not a fan of abilities that does damage to your own team, but this one could really decimate opponent's team even though you take a little bit of damage on the opposite end. It kind of works like, I believe it's Ragnarok who has a similar ability, but this one works when one of the other opponent's characters dies. So when they die, you actually are able to get additional damage to everybody else. So it hits your team too. So your team does take damage. So if your team is low on health, the last thing you want to have happen is hit Court Death unless you know it's going to finish off the other 2 characters. But what happens with this, if you could kind of evenly take down teams with Thanos, 1 death could basically finish out the whole round for you. That's the beauty of running Record Death. So if you have him on your squad and you're figuring out how to use him, if you're using a bunch of players or a bunch of characters that utilizes team damage, Thanos could be that key swing, and that Court Death could be the swing point from you basically decimating a whole team really fast, literally by getting just 1 ability off. 1 ability off, which is a passive, could basically be the essence of you staying on board. And because it's a passive, that doesn't mean you really don't have to do much but just keep him alive long enough just so he can utilize it and have your other characters really do the damage to kill off a character and let Thanos trigger off his passive to make it work. That's the key about this, that you don't have to do anything with Thanos, just keep him up. And a lot of times you can keep him up literally just by either putting him in the front, let him absorb damage, or B, having somebody who could get up to the front like a Colossus or somebody you want to put up there with him to kind of keep him on board. There's a lot of good things you could do with Thanos. The color scheme is pretty solid too, but he's going to be 11B in regards to the top 10, top 3 stars, a number of all time. He's going to be number 11, 11B that is. Number 10, Black Widow. Now, I know the boards had Black Widow right outside the top 10, but Black Widow, definitely a top 10 character, no question. It was not a question of if she was going to make top 10 or not. She definitely is a top 10 character, no question. Here is the key reasons. Pistol. Outside of the fact that it does damage, it is a board shake too. Now, in the basic form, it just takes off a couple of squares, but when it starts to max out, when it starts to do like multiple squares and like 2x3 squares and stuff, it could really shake up the board to your advantage. But the other key to that is that you could place where pistol begins, so you could place where you want the board to cascade, which is essential too, because you could basically, if you're watching the board the right way, cascade the board in such a way where you could get additional matches from it as well. That's the key thing about pistol, and you're able to do damage with it too. So I really like pistol an awful lot. Now, sniper rifle, at max, when it's doing team damage, that's when this ability cooks. For ability to do team damage like that, you know, about 4K or so worth of team damage, you know, I think it was like 3K worth of team damage, that's super duper essential. And it's a board shake too, so you're doing team damage and a pretty crazy board shake, because it kind of cascades in like a diamond type shape. Really, really unique board cascade, that what it does. So it basically swaps the board in a unique way. You can control the placement of the starting position, but controlling the way it cascades is going to take a little bit of getting used to, just because of the way that it cascades down. But I like sniper rifle a lot, especially when it's maxed out. There's not too many better green abilities that you could really do team damage or otherwise. So I really like it a lot. Deceptive tactics. Now the thing about deceptive tactics, that you gotta like really love, and the reason why Black Widow's a top 10 character is really because of this. It's not the fact that it gives you an additional greens. Now it could give you up to 5 greens that you could utilize. That's one part of it. So you're gonna basically get it if you have more than 4 covers of this. You're gonna get an instant 5. So you're gonna get an instant critical off top. But you can place it as such where you can really generate your green tiles really fast. So now, if you match up Black Widow with Thor, and you're generating green tiles just left and right, and maybe drop in a Human Torch who could kind of utilize those things, in which all 3 of them could, there's very little you could do against a team that's built like that. I like Deceptive Tactics a lot. I think that's the key ability out of all of them, even though sniper rifle's cool because of the way that it board wipes and does that type of damage, especially when it gets to team damage. Pistol is straight because, again, you can control the placement of pistol, but Deceptive Tactics is the reason why Black Widow is definitely a top 10. Probably could be higher, but you know, but I like her where she is at right at the 10 level, because the other characters that are there are definitely equally as strong. But that's the one thing about top 10. You're not going wrong. Any one of these characters in the top 10 are top 10 for a reason, and Black Widow is no exception. Let's go ahead and get to who's number 9. Magneto sits at number 9. Wow. Now, Magneto's Iron Hammer, when it is maxed out, it wipes the whole board. It gives you a fresh, brand new whole board. You know, in the smaller forms of it, it takes like a little square, then a bigger square, then a bigger square. The only bad about Iron Hammer is that if the countdown tile jumps up to be about 4, and 9 times out of 10 it gets matched off. But if it does go off, basically a brand new board right off top, and that's pretty cool. I'm not mad at that at all. Magnetic Flux. The reason why I like Magnetic Plus, because it does about 2800 damage. Not mad at that, but it also board wipes the board too. So I'm not mad at that at all either. Now, the really key, and the reason why I have Magneto slightly above Black Widow, and the reason why he sits at number 9 is really polarity shift. Really what it comes down to is this: polarity shift, you can place where the blue tiles go, and so you can instantly get at least a 5 match, which gets you a critical. But it also gives you red as well. Now that's super essential because it doesn't just give you one color, it randomly gives you the 5 reds, so it has a potential to not just give you blues, has a potential to give you reds too, which definitely benefits his own abilities. But more importantly, if you have other characters that utilizes the blue better, or other characters that can utilize the red better, it could definitely help that as well. So that's the reason why I have Magneto slightly above Black Widow. Because I think they're really one and the same, to be honest with you. It's just polarity shift is a little bit better than Septatactus, and that's the reason why Magneto sits at number 9. But let's go ahead and see who's sitting at number 8. Thor, the 3-star Thor, sits at number 8. Now, I'm not going to break down Thor in the 3-star form. Just look at the 2-star Thor, because everything is identical from the 2-star Thor to the 3-star Thor. The only difference, and I mean the only difference, is that it does more damage than what the 2-star Thor does. Period. Same abilities, same everything. Molitor's Might gives you the yellows. Thunderstrike gives you the green. Call of the Storm does team damage. Really, really simple. I'm not going to go through a big breakdown, but the same reason why Thor was a top 2 character in his 2-star form is the same reason why Thor is one of the top 10 in the 3-star characters, because it's basically the same thing. It can do everything on its own. It doesn't need any help. Every single ability does damage. Every single the 2 abilities, Molitor's Might and Thunderstrike, is a board shake that actually helps you to help generate colors. And if you don't need those colors, like if you don't need yellow or don't need green for Thor themselves, you could utilize those for other characters that can utilize it as well. That's the reason why he's sitting at number 8, is simply because he is just an upgraded, better version of what you were getting in the 2-star. So basically, once you get to this point and beyond, to be honest with you, you're better than ability-wise, as far as like attack and damage, all this stuff, you're better than what you were getting with your 2-star Thor. And this is probably the juncture where if you wanted to drop your 2-star Thor and solely rock with your 3-star Thor, you could. This would be the point where you could do it. Once you're at 114, you're basically getting better damage in the Call of the Storm, better damage in Thunderstrike, and better damage in Molitor's Might. You're basically getting better everything. This is about that time that you would change over. So Thor, sitting at number 8, definitely the right position for him. I believe the room had him at 10. I think he's better than 10, because I think he's still better than, the Magneto, and I think he's better than Black Widow. That's the reason why I have him at 8 and not necessarily 10. But just like the room thought, he is a top 10 character. Let's go ahead and see who's sitting at number 7. Luke Cage sits at number 7 in the top 3 stars list. Unbreakable. Let's talk about that real fast. Gives you it gives you a quick, easy projectile for nothing. That's cool, because what happens is once you get that on the board, it kind of negates a good portion of the match damage that you're getting. I'm not mad at that, but really what it comes down to is these 2 abilities here. Righteous Uppercut. When it's at top form, 4,500 damage off top. Then it does another 1,300 per other 2 characters. So let's basically, if you have a full assortment of team, that's doing what, 7,000 worth of damage, 13 yellows. It's not too many other things that you could do with 13 yellows and get 7k worth of damage. And if you have somebody like a Thor who could generate those yellows, or somebody who could generate yellows for you fast and get Righteous Uppercut, oh, that's going to be real fire. Don't get it wrong. You could do some serious damage in a heartbeat. And then on the flip side of the coin, look at Jab Jab Cross. 6 black gems gives you 1,000. Gives you 1,000 damage. That's cool. Don't get it wrong. For 6 black gems, get you 1,000 damage. That's cool. Puts a 4 countdown tile. Gives you basically 4 tries, maybe 3 or so before it gets matched off. So you have the potential to do 4,300 per 6 black gems. Think about this. If you have somebody who could generate some black gems for you, like a Iron Fist, to generate those black gems would be really, really fast, provided you don't match off your black tile that has a countdown tile on it. Do you know how fast that you could really decimate teams with jab, jab, cross? With that countdown tile being in tow, you could really knock out somebody. Between righteous uppercut and jab, jab, cross, you could really decimate teams really fast. I don't care how much health that they have. You know, a couple of runs with that, and it's finito for a lot of teams. For him to sit at number 7 is right, only because it does take a little bit to get righteous uppercut, and unbreakable is an okay passive. It's cool. I'm not going to front. It's a cool passive. But jab, jab, cross, and righteous uppercut is really what you're looking at here. And only because unbreakable is kind of an okay pass, so the reason why he's sitting at number 7. But I'm not mad if y'all have him higher than that. I think the room had him at 7 too, and I think that's about right, to be honest with you. So Luke Cage sitting at number 7. Right in position, right where the room thought. That's exactly what I think as well. Let's go ahead and see who's sitting at number 6. Doctor Strange sitting in the number 6 spot, and y'all thinking, man, he's a new character that just introduced him. How is he so high on the boards? I think the boards had him at number 6. I have him at number 6 too. I think that's about right, y'all. I mean, and don't get it wrong. His abilities is super, super fire once you utilize them the right way. The color scheme is cool because it doesn't utilize green and it doesn't utilize red. So you could pair him with characters that could utilize those 2 colors fairly strongly, or black for that matter. So you could utilize him with characters that utilize those characters very strongly without having to worry about him kind of doing his thing. Now, Crimson Bands of Cyttorak is pretty cool because it does a stun and it does the damage. The damage is not important, the stun is. So if you're utilizing teams that don't necessarily utilize the blue, you could get some good quick stun damage. That's super important. The Eye of Agamotto, that ability is key. Only if, I mean, don't get it wrong, it takes away projectiles, tactiles, strike tiles. There's other abilities that does the same thing, but because it takes away trap tiles and because it takes away invisibility tiles is really why it negates like Professor X's and other characters that could try to go invisible. You could basically take those tiles off the board and get them right visible again, or get them trap tiles off of the board and really kind of keep everything flowing like normal. That's a very underrated ability. I know it seems like it's a throwaway, and 11 purples to make that happen is kind of a high price tag, but to get the invisibility out the way, I think that you would be fine with it. This is why you would probably want to pair Doctor Strange with somebody who could utilize or generate purples for you in order to help out. But really what it comes down to is Flames of the Fall Team. If you're doing story mode, the retaliation damage for them dropping in a ability, I don't care if it's a countdown tile, I don't care if they're throwing a strike tile on the board, I don't care if they're throwing a protect tile on the board, I don't care if they're running an ability. Anytime they use an ability, they're getting damage for it, and that damage could start off and be like 400, 500, or when you have it maxed out, it's doing like 12 to 1500 per. Do you know how quickly it is to get to your story mode with him alone? And if you have at least two of these covers on, but if you have all 5, do you know how quickly you can get to your story mode? Your story modes will be so much faster. New school players, let me talk to y'all real fast. Get that Doctor Strange if you can, and get the Flames of the Fault Line covers as fast as you can if you want to get to your story modes as quickly as you can. Period. Because that is the reason why he sits at number 6, is strictly off of that ability alone, and that makes him is super essential, even more so than like a Luke Cage or some of the other ones. Don't get me wrong, they're fire too, and this is why you can kind of rotate who you have in your top 10 here, but that ability alone could definitely get you through. And the Crimson, because you could kind of stun characters that actually does turns and just basically have, like, you know, the Flames of Fault Line anytime they throw an ability out, oh, you could really stop. You know, as far as like support characters, you're not getting much better than Doctor Strange when it comes to support characters, no question. But he definitely sits at number 6. Let's go ahead and get to who's number 5. Cyclops sits at number 5. Why? I think the room had Cyclops at 5. I think I have him at 5 too. I think that's about right. Now, why I have him at 5 is this. I like Mutant Recovery for one. To be able to utilize those team up tiles and change them into reds. I don't use team up tiles. I use colored gems. I don't use the team up tiles. So Mutant Recovery to kind of change them to red, and which other squads utilizes red, is super essential. I know if y'all saw a couple of videos ago where if you saw me run some of my teams with the red scheme, you know, She-Hulk, Captain Marvel, and Cyclops, for example. The reason why that works is because of Mutant Recovery. Because to be able to generate reds from multiple directions really makes, you know, abilities like Optic Blast come into play. And the reason why Optic Blast is pretty cool is because for 10 reds, you could do 4,000 worth of damage. That's not bad considering you have Mutant Recovery to generate those reds for you pretty fast. And a lot of times what happens is when you have Mutant Recovery, when played the right way, you are matching it to get a critical tile, and you're getting enough reds fast enough to really get Optic Blast into play. But Full Blast, wow, man. Mutant Recovery helps us too, because if you have the reds on the board, and if you get Full Blast off with enough reds on the board, that could get you 8k worth of damage. So think about this. You have one ability that could get you 4k, another ability that should get you potentially 6k or 5700, up to 8k worth of damage between two abilities. You can't have them out of your top 5. That's just the bottom line. And because the Mutant Recovery helps you or helps any other member that utilizes red, this is the reason why a lot of times I pair him up with Captain Marvel, who when she takes hits, she gets you some free 5 reds and free blacks to help. And maybe if you pair him up with somebody who could generate some black gems for you, Cyclops can really do some damage to the team. The reason why he is 5 ahead of Doctor Strange and ahead of a Luke Cage is because the color scheme matches up, and Mutant Recovery helps him out immensely. No, he doesn't do team damage, but he is basically Luke Cage, just a little bit easier to navigate through, and I'm not mad at that at all. So that's why Cyclops sits in the 5 spot. Let's go ahead and see who's number 4. I have Iron Man at number 4. I know, I hear the boos, I hear the no's, I hear the boards have him number 1 and all this stuff. I'm sorry. Blame your boy, True Indeed. I don't have him as the top character. I'm sorry. Don't get it wrong for a second. Unibeam official does a lot of damage, kind of like Cyclops does, but the difference is Cyclops doesn't lose anything for using the ability. Unibeam does. You lose AP every single time you use Unibeam. Ballistic Salvo does team damage. Great team damage. I think it does like 3k or so, 3,500 team damage once it's maxed out. That's great, but here's the problem. It takes 13 reds to get Unibeam off, and Ballistic Salvo takes 16 blues to get off. That's a lot of tiles. Now, I have him above Cyclops, but it's not by much, and the only reason why is because Recharge does so much, because even with Recharge is great because you get 3 countdown tiles, and I think it takes like 2 to 3 turns to get those off. Now, if they stay on the board and they go away, they give you a lot of AP really fast that you could utilize those immediately, even though it stuns Iron Man for a couple of turns, but other characters could utilize it too, or you could put those AP on ice and maybe utilize Ballistic Salvo or Unibeam. But a lot of times what happens is that you're not utilizing your AP from recharge into Iron Man. You're going to utilize that into other characters that are going to utilize it more efficiently, and that's kind of like the gift and the curse. Yes, I give recharges due, because even just one countdown tile could give you a lot of AP in multiple colors, which is better than Mutant Recovery, and that's the only reason why Iron Man is number 4 and not 5. If not, I would really flip those two, to be honest with you, and put Cyclops above Iron Man, but he's not a number 1 character. His abilities take way too much to get off. 13 red, 16 blue, and even with the AP that's generated from recharge, you gotta stun and wait some time before you can get it off. In itself, I don't think that he's a top tier. He's not the number 1 character. I'm sorry, it just takes too much. I just think you get the other characters ahead of him. It's so much more efficient in how they utilize their AP. That's the reason why Iron Man is 4, and he's really should be 5, but he's 4. And I know y'all hear like the man, I'm mad at you, True and D, for putting him number 4. I'm sorry, I gotta give my take. I have to. But he's definitely number 4 on my list. If y'all think he's higher, y'all go in the comments and tell me why he's number 1. Because I don't see it. I know I don't have him maxed out, but still, I know what he's like when he's maxed out. I don't think he's a number 1 top 3. I don't think he's the top 3 star. I'm sorry. But we're going to get into who's in the top 3. Let's go ahead and see who's on 3rd. Kamala Khan, number 3. Now, I like Kamala Khan an awful lot because her abilities, I like the scheme, because what happens with the scheme, it doesn't utilize red, it doesn't utilize blue, and it doesn't utilize black, so it frees you up to utilize those colors, especially because you get good abilities off of what you're working with off of these. Bring out the best. That could keep your team on board as your team, as your allies, as the other 2 characters who are not Kamala Khan is firing off abilities, you're getting health. That could keep you alive. Period. That's the reason why bringing out the best is a very, very good ability. In Big and Bash, does team damage. I believe it does up to 3,500 team damage once it was maxed out, but it does team damage for the green, and it does it evenly. Opposite of Thor and some of the other ones, it does the team damage evenly for your 12 greens. Very, very good. Now, Inhuman Stretchiness is where it's very cool, because keep in mind, you could change one color to green. You change one tile to green, in which you know green is the most common of all the colors that you are utilizing abilities with. Then all the other ones that it pops into place that are at random pops into place on the same color that you put your first one on. So let's say you change like a black to green. Other black gems are going to turn it to green too, provided that they're not all over the place, which is cool too, because if you have them placed the right way, 9 times out of 10 you could cascade them to at least be able to link up and get like a 4 or a 5 or maybe something better. And that which would A, be able to fuel in Big and Bash, B, be able to fuel other characters that utilizes green and really do some really quick damage. And because it only takes 8 purples to get off the ground, it's cool. Bring out the best is going to keep your team alive, and Big and Bash is going to do the damage. Anytime you have 3 solid abilities, health, board wipe, and team damage, you're not going wrong. Better than Iron Man because of this. And this is the reason why she is 3, is simply because it only takes 12 green gems those green gems are helped because of the 8 purples, which is not a high price tag to get your green gems off the ground. And Bring Out the Best is a passive, and it's a very good passive. It's one of those passives that could definitely keep you around and keep you healthy for a long period of time, provided that your other members are getting off their abilities fast. Especially if you have the quick pop abilities like other characters like Luke Cage or somebody who could get off abilities really, really fast. That's the reason why Bring Out the Best is super important. And that's the reason why Kamala Khan sits in the 3 spot. Let's see who's number 2. Scarlet Witch sits in the number 2 spot. I know she's not a number 1. I think the room kind of had her at number 3. I'm not mad because I think she is in the top 3. So having her at the room, having her 3, and I'm having her at 2, that's not really far off. Hex Bolt, be able to destroy, destroy one tile, and they can destroy anything else around it, an enemy attack tile, protect tile, or strike tile around it. That's pretty cool because the likelihood is that Hex Bolt utilized the right way, you could at very least be able to negate teams that utilize protect tiles, strike tiles, or attack tiles. So Hex Bolt is super important, but you definitely got to get 3 covers to make sure that ability works. Once you get to that threshold, Hex Bolt is fire because really what you're utilizing it for is to kind of negate those things happening to you, mainly protect tiles and attack tiles mainly. Arcane Incarnation. That ability is so fire if you can get it to fire off, because once you have it maxed out where it's generating like 5 purples for you, 9 times out of 10 is going to cascade for you and give you a critical on top of it. But more importantly, it gives you the 5 purples that you need. Do you understand? If you're utilizing it with other teams that needs those purples, including Reality Crush, and Reality Crush does team damage and it stuns, and when you have it maxed out, you could get a stun for 5 turns. Reality Crush is basically how Storm's ability is. Now, you know how Storm's the 2-star Storm, and y'all know I had got that right, and the reason why the 2-star Storm was top 2, it's the same reason why Scarlet Witch is top 2, because Reality Crush and Storm's ability are identical in every way. They just utilize different colors, but they do the exact same thing. But Arcane Incarnation is what helps that propels it be really fast. And even if you did not use it for Reality Crush, those purples, let's say you were trying to feel somebody like Iron Fist or like the 4-star Kate Bishop or somebody. Man, being able to generate purples that fast could be essential to everything that you do. I like Scarlet Witch being number 2. Super duper close to being number 1, but it can't be number 1 simply because like I said, I like Reality Crush, I like Hex Bolt. I just think the character that's number 1 is deserving of number 1 because it's been mentioned a lot in how I utilize my teams and how a lot of people utilizes their teams. And the reason why that character is number 1 is because there's very few flaws in that character. Just like there's very few flaws in Scarlet Witch, I just think that the number 1 character is just a slight bit better. But the reason why Scarlet Witch is better than like a Kamala Khan, because I just think that Hex Bolt is a little bit more fluid, because it can negate a lot of teams that you run up against. Reality Crush's team damage is just as good as in Big and Bash, but Arcane Incarnation is the ability to generate those purples so fast is very, very key. I like that ability a lot. So if you don't have Scarlet Witch on your squad as a 3-star, you definitely want to have her on your squad. Let's see who's number 1. Iron Fist. Iron Fist at number 1, no question. And I know y'all already kind of had an idea off the top how the way I kind of utilize Iron Fist in referencing other characters. The reason why Iron Fist is number 1 is super essential. Let's talk about it. Exquisite technique. What it does, it drops away an attack tile onto the board. Right off top, as soon as you get that attack tile on the board, it's already doing damage. 200 damage right off top really fast. You paired with somebody like Black Falcon or somebody who could really ramp that ability up, you could really do some serious damage off of a passive. That's just a passive. 200 strictly off the passive. I like the passive. There's other passives that are better. Like if you said which passive is better, Exquisite Technique or Court Death, I would tell you Court Death. But don't get it wrong, Exquisite Technique is very, very close. Shao Lao Fang Strike. If you are a strike tile player, the ability to be able to generate strike tiles against 8 greens is very key. There's so many things you could do with strike tiles. There's so many characters that utilize the strike tiles, and for the green AP that you would have to use to get there, it's not bad, and you get a chance to do some damage in regards to it. And it generates red strike tiles, so it's not like they're dropping them on green where you're going to be matching them up. They drop them on the reds, so you could really do some things. So let's say you're utilizing this with Blade, for example. That's the reason why I say Iron Fist and Blade kind of goes hand in hand, because those abilities matched up to leave the reds kind of free on the board. You could really do a lot of serious damage with that. But really what it comes down to, and the reason why he is a top tier, top number 1 3-star is this: Iron Fist of Kung Lung. It's super cheap, and I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line they may go ahead and nerf this off and maybe make it like 8 or 9 purple, but because it's only 5, to generate as many black tiles as it does, it's crazy. You know, it could generate up to 7 or maybe 8 black tiles on the board. That's a lot. Now, once you get 12 black AP, it flips, and then it does damage for these 5 purples that it needs. So, if you generate those black tiles, match those up, ice those for a quick second, still generating purple, and then do damage with that, and you're doing about 4K worth of damage, and you're icing your black AP, that's a lot of damage. And if you have a character, a Cyclops, a Black Panther, a Luke Cage that utilizes those black tiles too, and you just have it in waiting, do you know how quickly you could decimate teams? You know, Black Panther, for example, utilize the team damage. Iron Fist could just kind of pop for 3K. You could really ramp it up. Or, you know, Cyclops, who could be able to generate 8K against those 12 black gems. You know how quickly you could decimate teams with him? That's the reason why he's so essential, and the reason why he's a top flight character is because you could pair him with so many other characters and make him work, because this ability is cheap. If they ramp this up to like 8 or 9, then it's not going to be nearly as beneficial, because it's going to be a lot harder to get those off. But at 5, it is not too much better that you could get for 5 purple. And keep in mind, the color scheme, green, purple, black, doesn't hurt you if you utilize yellow, red, and blue. You can't be mad at that. The reason why Iron Fist is number 1 is because you could pair him with anybody. He does his own damage. He works with any team that you have. Any type of team you're thinking of, he's going to work with. And that's so hard to say, because most of the other characters' flaws is that it needs another character to make it work. Iron character is that glue character to make all your other characters work. I know the room had him at number 2. I don't know why they had Iron Man 40 at number 1, but Iron Fist should definitely and deservedly be number 1 on the top 3 stars of all time. So there you have it, folks. We got through it. I know it was a lot. I had to do it in 4 videos. Top 3 stars of all time. We broke them all down. So let's do this. Let me show you what the boards thought as the top 3 stars were. Let me show you where my top 3 stars were. How do y'all like the list? Now that we got them all compiled, now that we have everything together, do you like the top 3 stars? Did you not like them? Do you think that they were put together well? What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? You think it was a good thing? I thought it was good. I thought it was very well put together. I thought the boards wasn't too far away. I just thought my thoughts on them was a little bit different. in regards to the top 3 stars and how I saw them, and that's a good pull. Did y'all see that little court death that I just pulled? That was definitely a good pull. I thought the boards did really well, and I thought it was very thoughtful, and I thought they wasn't too far off, but I thought what I put together was a little bit more essential. So y'all let me know what y'all think of the top 3 stars. What we're going to do next, I'm going to break them down, the top 4 stars and 5 stars respectively. Give me a little bit of time. I'm in a huddle compiling, trying to get my thoughts on those as well. That's why it took me a little while to get these off. I want to make sure that I put together a good, thoughtful reasons why I thought the 3 stars were. So hopefully y'all liked it. Hopefully it was informative for you. Hopefully it was well put together. And I know, I apologize, I didn't put any gameplay in the last few videos, but I'll get some gameplay for you, because there's a lot of things that happened across the last week or so. They added a couple of characters in, Riri Williams, of course, which is a new character amongst others. So and certain things that's been happening on the boards as well. So definitely want to address those things as we go along. But definitely appreciate it. I definitely appreciate y'all rocking with your boy. I appreciate all of your feedback. I definitely look at your feedback, and that's 2 Thanos covers back to back. I gotta like that. That is good pulls there. I definitely appreciate it. You know, I definitely appreciate your comments. Give your thoughts and ideas. I'm definitely going to be putting together my Marvel Puzzle Quest team. So like I said, I need y'all, if y'all really down to get onto the team, put your notes in. Let me know in the comment section if y'all really down, because I would definitely put y'all in on the squad and definitely work to do some great things in this Marvel Puzzle Quest. So, ooh, Star-Lord, not bad. So definitely look forward to that. So that's all I have, family. Y'all know who I am. I'm Mr. True Indeed, of course. Y'all know who I represent. It's the Holy Circle Gaming. Like always, is God above everything. Till the next time, family. We'll do it again soon. Salute.